AngelWing, The Last Airbender. Chapter the 4th. Scarred Past.
Apparently, Alistair hadn't been kidding about wanting to help, let alone paying for hospital bills. The pouch he'd given Delilah's father had been full of 2-inch-long pieces made of some silver metal. Dr. Polanski informed them that it was gold chips, covered with a thin layer of silver. It so happened that each piece was worth $1,000. What a coincidental thing that the doctor also happens to know exactly the price for rare metals. Must be his hobby or something. Since the bag, despite its relatively small size, held several hundreds, the entire cost of the numerous hospital bills was paid in full. What amazed Delilah and her parents even more was the fact that there was, no insurance payments whatsoever. It was just, hey, yeah, we're a hospital. We totally accept gold. That there was at least a few dozen pieces left over the invoice had been completed, wrapped up in a silk bow. The Delilah's parents had thought that there had been a mistake, that Alistair had given them too much money. But Delilah had a shrewd idea that Alistair had done this on purpose. A little extra money as a gift of some sort. Since Delilah had to stay in the hospital for another month, she soon received many get-well cards, as well as visitors. 1 week after waking up, Mike, Annalise, Kinley, Chriselle, Chelsea, Stephanie, and Joseph all came to see her after school. The girls were sympathetic, while the guys hung back, talking to each other, occasionally speaking to the throng of girls lined around Delilah's bed. Everybody wanted to know what happened in detail, so Delilah told all she could remember. She left out Alistair's appearance and rescue, making it sound like the car door broke off on its own accord, and that she'd fallen unconscious before help arrived. "You certainly were lucky," said Kinley, her small body squeezed into a chair next to the bed. She always got annoyed when people talked about her size, which happened on a weekly basis. So she was annoyed a lot. Delilah remembered Alistair referring to Kinsley's diminished stature as fun-sized. The thought made Delilah giggle inwardly, because it fit Kinley perfectly.
"How long did you think you were out before help came?"
asked Stephanie.
"I have no idea,"
Delilah replied, sticking to her conviction that she was just an empty, airheaded girl. She had collapsed in Altair's arms. How long had she been out before the paramedics had come to aid her? Her parents had told her that they were actually called by the hospital around 6:56. As far as she remembered, it had been roughly 6:30 when she had crashed. That was about 26 minutes, give or take a minute or two. No, the math is pretty on spot there. We don't have to give or take a few minutes. But the hospital was at least 30 minutes from her house. The times didn't match up. The ambulance would take at least 25 minutes to get there, a few minutes to stabilize her condition before the paramedics would risk moving her. Then the trip back. It didn't seem possible that the trip had taken 25 minutes out of the more likely hour or so. What if Alistair had driven her to the hospital by himself? He can't drive. He can only fly. I mean, he would have to stop at stop signs or intersections waiting for traffic lights. Come to think about it, she thought in retrospect, there were no cars on the street at night. Her thoughts were interrupted by Chelsea.
"How long till you can come home?" "The doctor said about a month,"
said Delilah.
That must have been one heck of an accident,
said Joseph, who was sitting near the door. Just then, a nurse came in with a clipboard. "You're going to have to leave. I am sorry," she said. Her voice kind, but the narrator running out of different voices he can do for women. Also with a hidden tone of finality. Everyone looked up, disappointed, but stood up.
"We'll come back to visit soon, Delilah."
"Count on it,"
said Mitch, grinning. Mike and Annalise were there the last to leave the room, voicing their condolences. The nurse checked Delilah's pulse and took a sample of blood for a red blood cell count, then left, closing the door. Delilah looked through the window, looking at the group congregated in the hall, feeling lonely again.
"It doesn't seem like the old gang has changed while I was gone, has it?"
said a cool voice. Delilah jumped and looked around. The room was empty, yet the voice sounded very near. She's got her very own stalker. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw something move. She stared at the spot. The air seemed to be shifting, flickering. Then Alistair, wearing his usual outfit, materialized next to her like a column of smoke blowing in high wind.
"Alistair, you nearly gave me heart failure,"
said Delilah, her heart rate speeding up, accordingly, both from shock and something else she couldn't quite identify. Geez, I wonder what it could be.
"Sorry," Alistair said apologetically.
"How did you get in here?"
"I've been in here for the last couple hours, just hidden."
"Even when I was getting my sponge bath?"
"It's just a little trick I learned on my travels," he said,
completely ignoring her question.
"Why didn't you reveal yourself to them?"
Delilah asked, gesturing to the group outside.
"All in good time. They'll get to see me soon enough," he reassured her. "Dr. Polanski says that you're recovering very well. He shortened your stay period to 2 weeks now. You'll leave a week earlier than predicted."
"That's awesome!"
Delilah exclaimed, her mood lightened. Alistair looked inquisitively at her, his eyebrows furrowed.
"Is something on your mind?"
"Yeah, there is."
How had Alistair known? There'd been a question burning in the back of her head. Can I ask you something?
That depends.
Delilah frowned, and Alistair changed tact.
How about this? Every time you see me, I'll answer one question that you want to ask me. Just one. That fair?
Well, it seems like a stupid plot just to extend the story and make it more crucial that you talk to me more often. But okay.
Ask away then.
Delilah hesitated.
How did you get that scar? You look like the creepy lion from Lion King.
It's merely a flesh wound, he quoted.
Adapting a fake British accent. He laughed at the famous movie line, a laugh that lifted Delilah's mood even higher. His face changed back to his unusual countenance after a moment, cool and calculation, but in a soft, reassuring way. His gloved hand went up and traced the scar tissue slowly.
This was from one of my many, quote-unquote, aggressive negotiations while I was gone. His finger reached his collar and stopped.
Is that all there is?
Nope. I lost my left hand as well,
he stated matter-of-factly.
What a coincidence! I might have lost my right hand.
Delilah stared at Alistair, and then looked at the hand now resting on his lap. Something didn't add up. As answer, Alistair slid the glove off his left hand. The hand underneath wasn't prosthetic or a wax clone, like Delilah at first thought, though it might be. The hand was made of a green stone that looked like emerald. It was a perfect duplicate. Delilah wouldn't have known it was fake unless Alistair had shown it to her. It was translucent, with tiny gold stands crisscrossing on the inside, like roots in soil. Each little fiber pulsed with light, so the entire appendage lit with a slow glow, undulating like a heartbeat. The glowing gem hand went halfway up his forearm, where it met the rest of his arm. The cut must have been clean, the stone and skin attached seamlessly together at a sharp angle. The skin around the cut was tinted green, like the transfusion of stone and flesh hadn't been perfectly successful. It was a remarkable sight, both beautiful and frightening at the same time.
Where did you get that?
Delilah asked eagerly.
I might want to get one for my right arm.
But Alistair stood up with the right air of conclusion. She felt mollified and then fell silent.
You should get some sleep. I can't stand your incessant high-pitched whining anymore.
All right,
she said, disappointed. Alistair leaned forward and lifted her chin with his left hand. The stone was warm and relaxing. Everything about him seems to be warm. His body's a human heater. It calmed her mind. She looked into Alistair's blue, emerald-like eyes. Oh, sorry, sapphire-like eyes, and her mind went blank.
Sleep,
he said softly, pressing the forefinger to her head. The hand pulsed, and Delilah felt sudden sleepiness come over her. Her eyes closed on their own accord. Before consciousness left her, she heard a voice in her ear, soft as a breeze in a room.
Sleep, my one and only love.
She felt Alistair's lips on her forehead, then silence consumed her mind.
End of chapter 4.